Hey everybody, this is Ray from 8Base. I'm here with Vagmi Mudumbai, and
Hey,
thanks for sitting and having a chat with us. So why don't you start with who you are, where you work for, and what you do?
right. So I run a dev agency. We're based in Fredericton, New Brunswick. So we work on back end, front end, pretty much all. If you have an idea, we bring it to life.
Okay, so it's almost like a consultancy. People
That's
bring
right.
their projects to you guys, and you guys actually, that's really cool. Is this your first time speaking at ConFoo?
Yes, at ConFoo, yes.
Okay, how are you?
It's awesome. It's actually one of the biggest conferences that I've been in like the past couple of months.
Okay.
So I was at that, and now at ConFoo, and yeah.
What do you think your favorite thing about ConFoo has been?
I would say I have to say the food.
The food, eh? Yeah, they do
It's
a really
awesome.
good setup here.
Yeah, the quality of conversations I've had here is amazing, honestly.
Yeah. A lot of what people are saying are talking about how the topics here really span everything, so you
Right.
can get a good understanding, and then the amount of people.
Yes,
make it
and
really
the
good.
hallway track.
The hallway track?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Some of the best conversations happen there.
Yeah. So pivoting to low code, you said that you have some experience with something that became low code? So I wanted to talk about
So
that for a bit.
I used to work for SAP, and then we built this. It was not called low code then, but it was called SAP Visual Composer. And the idea was that if you had business knowledge, you should be able to drag drop things onto a canvas and create a solution. And as a developer, I have been building extensions on Eclipse as well as Visual Studio to support like other developers to build solutions for SAP. So I was a part of their platforms team actually to do that. So while I haven't used local tools per se, but I've helped.
You've actually
helped build
low
some of
code
it,
tools.
yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you recall like when you were building it, what kind of decisions did you make in terms of trying to help get their stuff done while still being able to?
So I think the important thing I felt was like having the abstractions be leaky. So if you're trying to build, say, a component, and then you would want to know, you want to let the user basically deal with the innards of the component. So they would have the consistency, but they'll have the customization as well. And that's always like a very hard balance to have, because now what if you as the platform author decide to upgrade the component? You handle the upgrade because if they have customized it, and if the upgrade is going to break that customization, what do you deal with that, right?
Yeah.
All those kind of things, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's always been a challenge with these low code, no code tools, is that with that ease of use of building these fast applications, you also give up control. And if you want to get control, you give up upgradability. So it's like you have to figure out which.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's kind of like getting that balance right is the real challenge. But I like the way that the word that you use, leaky.
Yeah.
So it's like they see it and it's just the component, but then by leaky, you can kind of go inside and get the.
Yeah, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have leaky abstractions, because as a developer using the low-code platform, your first order of business is not to use the low-code platform, but to solve the problem. And you want this abstraction to be leaky, because now if the platform doesn't solve something, you can go down another level and solve the problem for the user, right? So that's why I feel many of the low-code or no-code tools which didn't offer that leaky abstraction, because
yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. So when you were developing that low code, was there anything that was in there that you were just like, I know developers are going to have a hard time with this part?
There's always going to be those parts.
So exactly.
Yeah. So we were dealing with a lot of VBA back then.
Okay.
This was like way back. I mean, 2005, 2006, I'd say.
Hurts actually to say that's way back, but yeah, I get what you mean.
No, in a sense, that's when like .NET was cool. Like they just came out in the market, and everybody wanted to be on .NET, and Visual Studio had these really cool extension programs in Eclipse. So there, the problem was that building those extensions were pretty hard actually, because now you have better studios and like better like visualization tools to build that, but there building those extensions in Eclipse or on Visual Studio was equally harrowing actually. That meant that we also wanted to pull back on some of the features that we wanted to do at that point in time, so because we didn't do that. And for the users, we would essentially do code generation for them, right? So it would be a component, they'd do something, and then we do code generation. So that means that this component didn't exist during runtime. It existed only during the design time part of the equation. So when we had to add metadata or things like that on top of it, like upgrades and things like that, once they generated the code and they updated the code, like whatever they had to do, essentially they couldn't use the new component. So we had to keep shipping like different components. Like you say, oh, V1, V2, V3, V1, V2, V3 are all different components. And one of the other cool things we did was called a blue box actually. And blue box was just a browser, and people were building still with VBA and things like that, but we embedded the browser and say, okay, do whatever you want to do, and then have scripting support back in the VBA or like the .NET runtime.
Yeah.
That's something that we did, but yeah.
No, I get it. I get it. You
And I
know,
think
if you let them dig too deep, like you're saying, upgradability becomes almost impossible. And then so you have to maintain more and more versions as
Yes.
things are going
Yes.
along, right? And then you have to implement some kind of a deprecation policy to be like, okay, you're using version 0.7 of the component where in a year and a half we're not going to support
Exactly.
that anymore.
Right.
No, I get that.
And yeah, that's an interesting trade-off, and I would love to know how 8-Base handles that.
Yeah, we're just getting started on the front end stuff, so we're on our way, but that's definitely something that we're looking into.
Nice.
Cool. Anyway, so thanks for having a chat. Is there
Sure.
anything that you wanted to tell the audience, maybe promote something or just give some words of wisdom?
No, mostly if you want to get some ideas built, hit us up at Tarka Labs. So
Okay, perfect. Tarka Labs. All right. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having a chat.
Thanks.